Expert Trader podcast series. Mr. Jason Stewart, the trade vendor. Welcome back, ChartAddicts, to the Expert Trader podcast series. We have a very, very special guest in the house today. Trade bender himself, Mr. Jason Stewart, aka QBSTEW, is in the building. Jason, you want to introduce yourself to the folks at home?
100%, bro. First and foremost, thank you for having me on ChartAddicts. Always been a big fan of everything that you've been producing and putting out there. For those of you that don't know, you can follow me on Instagram at QBSTEW. I'm from the DMV area. I've been trading for a little over 3 years now. And we're going to talk about a wide variety of things today. You know, the 100K day, what it was like starting out. So if you're listening, make sure you guys subscribe. Make sure you stay tuned to this channel for this episode and future episodes to come.
All right, Jason, appreciate the introduction. Great introduction, and very happy to have you here. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to get on. For the very few folks at home that don't know about you, could you introduce yourself a little bit? Tell them who you are and who you are as a trader.
100%. You know, for me, growing up in Alexandria, Virginia, I was always told, you know, to have success in life, get good grades, find a good school, get a good job. And I knew the only way I could actually get a good education was trying to get some type of scholarship. So I didn't have any scholarships out of high school. My senior year, we were one game away from the state championship, and I still didn't have Division I, II, III, any type of scholarship. So I went community college for 2 years in the middle of Kansas, and I actually became the #1 quarterback in the nation in junior college. Then I actually got to choose what school I wanted to go to. I chose the University of Memphis. A tiger has always been my favorite animal, and just the environment, everything that Memphis represented actually reminded me a lot of where I grew up. So I thought it was a great opportunity. I got onto campus, and it was a 6'7", 240-pound dude who also played quarterback. And I'm thinking to myself, like, why didn't I check the roster before I decided to come here? But he ended up being a first-round draft pick, so that led to me not getting a whole lot of playing time on the field. But that shifted my mind from, okay, if football is not going to be the reason or the avenue that allows me to get to where I want to go, what is? And entrepreneurship became a really big pivotal part for me and the way I looked at life. So I moved out to Denver, Colorado to live with him. He was my best friend. He was playing for the Denver Broncos. And I found myself with less than $3,000, $4,000 to my name, no car, having to figure out, okay, what do I do now? And I actually got a job at Target. I was having to walk there from 2 a.m. to 10 a.m. I was stocking shelves. And I just remember after a couple of months, I was saying to myself, like, is this what it's really come to? You know, is stocking shelves and making $10 an hour really what my whole journey has accumulated to? And I came home, was Googling ways to make money online. And I came across Forex. It was an 18-year-old kid who was telling me, Jason, you should check out Forex. And I'm like, bro, I'm good on that. I don't want to sell fake Rolexes. I literally thought Forex stood for fake Rolex. And it took 3 or 4 phone calls with me on the phone with him. And eventually I decided, you know what? Let me actually take a look at this. Let me take a chance. And, you know, it's been a journey ever since. So really glad that that kid kept calling me and telling me about it. But ultimately, you know, since diving in, it's changed my life, you know, in many ways.
So, Jason, let's take it back. Let's start at the very beginning, because that's a crazy story. I hope you guys kind of heard some of the stuff that he just said. He lived with an NFL star. He was stocking shelves for a couple months. There was so many ups and downs in that story. So let's walk through step by step. If I knew you in high school, Jason, who were you?
I honestly, bro, it's funny because my graduating class was like around 1,000 people, and I didn't win most likely to be successful. I didn't win most, you know, popular athlete or popular person. I actually was the class clown. So out of everything, all the, you know, awards they give out, best smile, best eyes, all that stuff, they gave me class clown. And I actually looked at that in such a positive way. I hold more weight on being class clown than I do even on my diploma. And people ask me why, and I say because my goal going into school every day was to try to make people laugh, was to try to like put a smile on people's face. And that was like what I more so look forward to than anything I was going in there to learn. And because I grew up in a place that was a melting pot, I got to have respect for Asian people, Black people, Hispanic people, white people. Like, I got such a good appreciation for all these different diverse cultures that it's allowed me to be, you know, pretty good at communicating with any type of person. So I'm just extremely grateful for the area I grew up in, the people that helped me make me me. And class clown, you know, I take pride in that shit, bro, honestly.
That's a pretty good perspective, and it's a good way to look at it. When you went to University of Memphis, you were playing college football, and that's obviously very demanding. It's very time demanding, demands a lot of discipline, demands a lot of confidence because you're a quarterback, and that's kind of a an area where you really do need to have quick decision making, confidence. You need to have that self esteem. What did playing college level football teach you about mindset and just about yourself in general?
You know, it's funny because when I was in community college, everybody there is like, I want to go D1. I want to go D1. I want to go D1. And then once I got D1 and I did our first workout, it was called a Colorado circuit. I threw up 2 or 3 times after the workout and barely even made it through. And I remember sitting in my locker afterwards saying to myself, like, is this what I really wanted? You know? And I just remember some of the older guys coming up to me and telling me, don't worry, bro. Like, it gets better. I promise you. I know this first workout kicks your ass, but it gets better. You know, like you'll be all right. And that's very similar to somebody in trading that maybe, you know, is excited about trading. Like, I can't wait to trade with $1,000. They trade with $1,000, maybe blow that account. And you have somebody who's a little bit more experienced, has been through it and says, don't worry. Like, that's a part of the journey. You know, you got to earn those scars. Those, you know, I feel also similar, bro, as like the movie Black Panther. When you see Killmonger, the scene where he takes his shirt off and you see all these scars and he says, all these scars represent people that I killed. And in trading, if I could take my shirt off and show people the scars I have from lost trades, my whole body would be covered. But that's like what's made me, you know, who I am today. And so I want people to like really love their scars because they're, you know, they're yours. Like, it's a part of your journey.
All right, that was really powerful. We're gonna have to go back and touch on that, but I'm so interested in the story timeline that I feel like I just can't let that go. Walk us through how you went from playing college football to then you said you were living with an NFL superstar with no money to your name. So how does that jump happen?
Yeah, 100%, bro. So like when I got to Memphis, they put me with the other quarterbacks. So you got Paxton Lynch and me, and then we also had a tight end and a receiver, Daniel Montiel and Drew Bishop, and we created the 102 crew. That was literally like the number on our door. And like if you saw one of us, you saw the other three. So it was like just that camaraderie of we would support each other, go everywhere. And you know, Paxton was my best friend. Like literally, we had our class schedule was identical. So every class that he had, I had. And that worked out because we would just like ride to class together and then we would go get lunch together and then we'd go to film together, be at practice. Quarterbacks go to every drill together. So it's like, and then you leave and you go home together, you know? So it's like the concept of everything you do short of the room you sleep in is together. And we were best friends. Like it was like literally one of those things where I've always viewed sports as a business. So if somebody outplays me, you're not going to see me hating on that person. At the end of the day, I'm not competing with my peers. I'm competing with my potential. So for me to be competing with somebody like that, I'm looking at Paxton like, bro, I want you to go first round. I want you to be able to take care of your family. I want you to be able to do all those things that you dreamed of. So when it happened, he moved to Denver, Colorado, and was like, bro, come live with me. I'm like, heck yeah, I'm going to come live with you because it's, well, you know, what was my other options? So when I got out there, the first thing I told him is like, bro, I never want a dime from you. Like, I'm not going to ask you for money because I never wanted our friendship to be viewed as like, oh, he might be a leech or, you know, and so
Sure.
for me, that was very, very important. I wanted to get it on my own. But in doing so, it became difficult because, you know, it's like that Kevin Hart stand-up that he had where it's like, don't have friends that make way more than you or you'll find yourself at dinner talking about, see, the way my bank account's set up. And that's what happened, bro. I literally, you know, found myself at Target making $10 an hour, coming home from the morning shift. He would be waking up to get ready to go to practice. And I'm sitting here like so depressed because it's like I see my best friend making millions and I'm making minimum wage working with high schoolers. And it, you know, it's that identity crisis. For so long, I was Jason, the football player. And when football was no longer a part of my life and now I'm making minimum wage, now I felt like I was a failure. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what the direction, you know, was supposed to go. So it was very difficult. On paper, it looks like a dream case scenario. And don't get it wrong, don't get it twisted, bro. We had a blast. Like we had a great time. You know, we were going snowboarding, we were hitting the Nuggets game, you know, like we were having a great time, but it was just at a certain point you realize, you know, this isn't college anymore. Like I gotta make it happen. Like my mom still works. My dad, you know what I'm saying? He still works. Like it's just the concept of what am I doing to do what he got to do for his parents? I saw him renovate his parents' home, put a pool in the backyard, a fence. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, I want to do that. You know, you see your best friend do it for their family, you get inspired to want to do it for your own. And I knew Target wasn't it. So, you know, coming across Forex was a blessing in disguise. But even coming across it wasn't the answer. It took years for me to actually get results.
So that's the main key. So obviously it doesn't happen overnight, between that area of frustration of like, man, you know, I'm not living up to my potential right now, to seeing your future potential because you're living with someone that's kind of potentially giving you a vision. So there's two questions that I have here. First, how did you get to start designing clothes for Lamar Jackson and Odell Beckham? How does that play into this whole story? And then walk me through the shift that it took from going from that self-doubt phase of like, you know, I don't, you know, where am I in life? Am I really reaching my potential, to really blowing up and kind of getting to the point where you are now? What was that breakout point?
Well, first with the designs, you know, I remember I took this entrepreneurship class at Memphis, and this guy, his name was Edward Bogard. He was the CEO of a nonprofit company. He was designing a shoe, and every shoe sold was a meal for somebody. And so I love the concept. He gave us all a piece of paper and said, draw a shoe on the piece of paper. And a lot of guys took it as a joke. They didn't really take it too serious, because he had just did this big deal with Walmart, and they're like, oh, he got a shoe in Walmart. But I'm like, yo, at the end of the day, Walmart's the #1 distributor like in the world. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's massive. And so I drew this shoe that had it was Nike shoe. I called it the KD Canvas, and it was like for Kevin Durant. But on the actual shoe was like whiteboard material, so you could write a Bible verse, write something that motivated you. And I created this whole concept commercial where a high schooler comes in, writes a verse on there, writes hashtag 1-0. He's in there 5 a.m. before everybody else. And next thing you know, they fast forward, he wins the game, he erases the verse in 1-0, and then comes in the next morning, 5 a.m., hashtag 2-0, Bible verse. And you start to see the timeline fast forward to eventually he erases the shoe and puts hashtag states, and then you see him cutting down the net. And so it's just the concept of like this creativity that I've always had. And he told me, he's like, I want you to come work with me. So I worked with him for a month, and I got enough game from him where I'm like, I got to do this on my own. Like I had too many ideas. I didn't want to just keep, I had to let them out. And so I created this blessed shirt that we would wear on the side of our dry fit shirts. So like we would roll our jerseys up so that way the word blessed would still hang out.
And how old were you when you started this? I don't want to cut you off.
This is all while I was still playing football at Memphis. So I was only about 24. I would say I was 23 or 24.
Wow.
And the blessed shirts were a hit, bro. Like I had players from the top schools all over the country wearing these blessed shirts. I would design them. I would send them out to them, say, hey, can you wear them on game day? And I remember Ole Miss was undefeated, 8-0. Memphis was undefeated, 8-0. It was an ABC morning game. Over 3 million people watching, bro. And I remember I had the top players from Ole Miss wearing it, Laquan Treadwell, Christian Russell, and I had the top players from Memphis wearing it. And by halftime, I checked on Twitter. It was trending on Twitter like #3, hashtag blessed shirt. And people were like, where can I get these blessed shirts? Like, these shirts are so fire, da, da, da. And then the next day, I got a call from Nike, executive director of Nike, Willie Gregory in Memphis. And he asked me to come meet with him that Monday. Long story short, he actually told me that we couldn't wear the shirts anymore because Nike was paying millions of dollars for Ole Miss and Memphis to wear their gear, and that me having a product that was taking eyes away from what it was they were doing, wasn't a good fit. So, at the end of the day, I told them I did what y'all did, In the 2000 Olympics, Michael Johnson had these maybe it was the 96 Olympics, but he had these all gold Nike spikes around his neck after he won like 2 or 3 gold medals. Adidas paid for the rights to the Olympics, but all people talked about was those all gold Nike spikes with the medals, and that's called guerrilla marketing. So I said, I took a page out of y'all's book, and these are grown men. I can't tell them what to wear or not to wear. So it just kind of was a trickle effect where it went from the blessed shirt to then the journey shirt, where I was taking pictures of all these guys' journeys, them in high school, college, NFL with their kids, and put it inside of their number. And at the end of the day, bro, the whole purpose of G2 God now, every single shirt sold is the profits all of the profits, not some, not 20%. All of the profits are going to be donated to Transformation Church, led by Pastor Michael Todd, TC Nation. And so when we talk about impact and really creating, that ripple effect in life, this is what I had always dreamed of for the clothing company. Trading, the capital that trading creates has now allowed me to create businesses that are just pure passion projects for the kingdom.
That is a perfect segue. So that's a perfect segue. This story is so interesting, Jason. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I'm really inspired by this story. I think that, obviously on paper, it looks really interesting and you're going to walk us through the ups and downs. But I think that this is one of those, just keep pushing through it and do miraculous things with your life kind of story. And I appreciate you sharing the background. Now let's jump straight into trading because it is a trading podcast. How did you get involved in trading? How did you get involved in Forex specifically? And walk us through that journey.
Right. So I know we touched on it a little bit. So I'll just kind of fast forward from after that. I came home, was Googling ways to make money online. I came across this kid, 17, 18 years old, who was traveling the world, living the life that I wanted. I wanted to travel. I wanted to basically make money on my own time. And he was telling me about Forex. I was very, very pushy away from it because I had never heard of it. We're all afraid of things that we don't know. And once I actually dove in, he said there was a 7-day refund period on the education. So I literally, bro, I can't make this up. I literally sat in front of my computer with an iPad that Memphis had given us, and I recorded the education so that way, even if I got the refund, I would still have what I paid for. And bro, literally after 2 or 3 days of learning about Forex, I knew it was real. I'm like, okay, bet this is a real financial market. I can actually make money trading. And I remember the first profit I ever made was $7. And once that happened, it was like everything changed, bro. My whole mind exploded because I said the same way I made $7, I could have made 770,000, 700,000. And so now it's just that pursuit of becoming better up here because the move doesn't change. So for everyone listening, if you catch a 100 pip move with a 0.1, that same move that you caught with a 0.1, you could have caught with a 1.0, with a 10.0, with a 100 lot. So just understand the charts don't change, you change. And the more that you level up, the more you're going to see those results affect, on your MetaTrader 4.
So when you started trading, did you go straight into live accounts or did you get to a certain period where you started with demo and then you went to live accounts?
Yeah, honestly, bro, when I started trading, I went straight live. Like I didn't waste any time, which wasn't a good thing. At the end of the day, it was what it wasn't, like I literally joined IML, I'm not in it anymore, but that was what introduced me to trading. Once again, I'm not going to bash them. At the end of the day, I'm grateful that they, have a platform that showed me something like it. Because otherwise, who knows what I'd be doing. So at the time when I joined, they actually had what was called the Fusion Trader, which was like mirror trading. So they had some expert trader that was, supposed to take the trades and be mirrored on your account. And after I saw the first profit, that's when I was like, okay, bet. Like, this thing is legit. So I had actually called my mom, bro. This is bro, you talk about a crazy story. I called my mom and was like, Mom, I just saw 7% growth in 1 week. Can you loan me some money? I'll pay you back what you give me, and plus some at the end of the year. Let me just let it run for 365. I'm sitting here like a mad scientist on a napkin doing the math. I'm like, okay, 7% a week for 52 weeks, and like literally, she put, I think she sent me 8K because my education was free and paid for from Memphis, full scholarship. She was like, you know what? We'll basically treat this as like college money, And so I was like, thank you. Bro, when I tell you, I sat in thousands of dollars in drawdown for months. The trader that his name was Optimus Prime. So I'm thinking like, okay, bet Optimus Prime. I can't go wrong with the leader of the Autobots, and this dude, Optimus Prime, didn't trade with stop losses. I'm sitting, bro, I sat in thousands of dollars in drawdown for months, bro. There was times I was holding my phone and I couldn't even feel my hands. My hands had gone numb because I'm sitting here looking at $4,000 drawdown on an 8K account. And I've never traded before. I've never even invested before, let alone this. And it's my mom's bread, bro. It's not even my bread. If it was my bread, I would have been hurt. But it's my mom's bread, the person my why, So I remember IMO had actually shut down the fusion trader. They're like, they sent out an email. They're like, oh, we just found out that mirror trading is illegal, so we can't do it anymore. We're going to be closing off all the trades and shutting off the mutual. I'm like, yo, bro, I literally watched them close out 4K drawdown. Actually, it might have been 6K at that point, 6K drawdown on my account. And then they had the nerve to tell me keep building.
Okay, I'm a little bit curious about, so I'm guessing there was no risk parameters on that account. 50% drawdown on
Literally, he didn't use stop losses. And me being a trader now, understanding like all of this shit, at the time when they're like, oh yeah, he doesn't use stop losses, I don't know what that means. I have no idea. I'm still learning. So it was just a concept where it sucked at the time, but I'm grateful for it because my first experience with trading was $4,000 drawdown for 2 months straight. So it's like when people ask like, oh, you know, how can I draw bigger lots, or like how am I comfortable with like that type of drawdown, is because that was literally my first experience. It was like, you know what I mean, being thrown into the ocean surrounded by sharks versus like, let's put you in the shallow end with the floaties. And no, like they threw my ass in there and I didn't know, you know, what was going to happen. But it always came back to, if not this, then what? I had seen profits made. So I knew the same way I was in drawdown and they closed out that L, I could have been floating 4K, 5K in profit and close out a dub. And, you know, by the grace of God, bro, I can't take credit, but I actually took that account back from 3K to 8K on some signals. One of my boys from Memphis had a pretty good signal provider. I over leveraged on some signals and got that account back to 8K. It's just the truth, bro. It's the truth. Sure. And literally withdrew that K, sent it back to my mom, and just it was like the biggest sigh of relief. We're like, damn, we got out of that one alive. And yeah, bro, I just knew. Like I remember sending a screenshot. This is how I even found out about Q Banks. I sent a screenshot to Q Banks when I was in the drawdown and was like, bro, I'm new to trading. Is this normal? Is this okay? And he was like, hell no, bro. He's like, that shit is not good, bro. That shit is not good at all. And that's when, you know, I continued to follow him and see, you know, like what all he had going on. And then, you know, ultimately, fast forward a year later, I was at a point where I still wasn't having really any breakthrough results trading. You know, at this point, the girl who I had been dating for like 6 years, she was feeling like I was wasting time, not really seeing, you know, the value. My best friend Paxton was kind of in the same boat where it's like, bro, this trading stuff is a little bit of, it looks kind of scammy, bro. This network marketing looks scammy. And I'm like, bro, you don't get it, man. Like, I don't have the luxury that I could just play football and make millions of dollars. Because keep in mind, bro, I already knew how to do what he was doing. I already know cover two. I already know 4 down front. I already know all verts and how to read it. You know, I know all of that, but I'm not 6'7", 240. You know, so it's like at the end of the day, I had to go towards what was actually going to help me and my family. And even though that resulted in me losing people at the time that meant a lot to me. And then not to mention, bro, my mom called me and said I got diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. Bro, all of this happened within a 2-month period. So I literally got kicked out the house in Denver. He told me, you know, go find somewhere else. I moved home with my dad in Erie, Pennsylvania, and still have no car, still don't have any money. And now I'm dealing with, you know, the breakup of a 6-year relationship, my best friend basically saying kick rocks, and now my mom being sick with cancer, you know? So it was just one of those moments where I didn't want to talk to anybody. Like, you talk about time standing for things I must experience. It's like God had sent me to, you know, that place where he, you know, he kept me with my dad. My pops has always been my rock. So him being my best friend, him being someone who's taught me so much, it was perfect because I had no friends up there. I didn't have a vehicle. And it was like literally, Jason, as you go to work with your dad as a carpenter, you're also going to be rebuilding yourself back up from scratch here in this room and studying the charts, taking the trades, keeping to yourself, and it almost eliminated a lot of the distractions.
What did that period teach you about your own resilience? Going through all that at the same time.
You know what's so funny, bro? Like the symbolism of even what we were doing. My dad and I, we went to go work on this property for a whole year. Now, it was the same property, bro. It had flood damage. So we had to gut everything on the inside and then basically build it back up from the bottom up. And it was funny, bro, because I found myself there like the first couple of weeks and months. I'll be crying at work, bro. I'll literally be crying. I'll have to like go step in another room because I didn't want to see my dad or other people there working, seeing me cry. But it's like I was that defeated where it was like, damn, bro, like how did I go from feeling like I was on top of the world to now I'm renovating homes in Erie, Pennsylvania, back living with my parents, you know? And yeah, it was just such an interesting perspective, because now looking back on, like I said, looking back on it in hindsight, as we were gutting that property and taking out all the things that had been damaged, I was doing the same thing to myself, you know, and it helped me. And you know what's so cool, bro? Jesus was a carpenter. He was a carpenter of Nazareth. So what do carpenters need before you build a house? What do you need? Vision. You can't build something without starting with the end in sight. And so sight is a function of the eyes, vision is a function of the heart. I always had the vision, that seed planted in my heart, that I needed to do something great, that I needed to inspire, that I needed to have results. And, you know, every single day, like it got to the point, bro, I was teaching my dad how to trade, because it was a 30-minute drive to work. So I'm showing him my MetaTrader 4. I'm showing him the trades I took. And the real aha moment, bro, came like 7 months in, when I made 12K in one day. We went to work. I placed the trades before we went to work. And literally in the middle of work, I showed my dad, I'm like, Pops, I'm up 12 bands right now. And that's when it was like, damn, okay, son, I see what you're doing is really legit now.
Now, real quick, what was the size of that account? What you said,
Yeah.
you had a first big day and it was a really impressive day, kind of turned the tide and turned that momentum around for you. What was the size of that account?
Yeah, every account that I was building were like 1K accounts.
Okay.
Like I didn't, because bro, I was only making $20 an hour. I mean, $20 an hour is better than $10 an hour, and it was cash. So you know what I mean? It wasn't like, it was a great setup. And we weren't having to work rigorous hours. It was basically like we would work 3 or 4 days out of the week, which allowed me to still, you know, spend time on the charts. Some days I could be up during London and I have to get up early. I mean, it was a blessing, bro. It really was. And then also not having the overhead of life either. You know, like my dad wasn't making me pay rent. I wasn't having to pay groceries. So, you know, having that level of support system was really, really big. And that's why, you know, to this day, I gotta keep my pops right here and my mom and my brother right here. You know, I gotta keep them surrounding me, because at the end of the day, that's what I do it for. You know, I truly do it for them. And they've been supportive the whole time. That now, being supportive doesn't mean they've completely understood what it is that I'm doing. But I tell people all the time, you can get the wrong advice coming from the right place, right? So you can have a parent or a loved one telling you don't do trading, but it's coming from the right place. Just because they're telling you not to do something doesn't mean they don't love you. It just means they don't understand or see what it is that you see.
That's amazing. You said something really important. You said sight is a function of the eyes, but vision is a function of the heart.
Yes,
That's
sir.
amazing. That's really well said. Now, this is a trading podcast, so I know the folks at home are eager to understand you as a trader today. Where would you say you are as a trader today? How would you describe your trading style today? How do you look at the markets just on a general, you know, higher level?
Yeah, it's a great question. I encourage people to understand themselves. Try to get to know yourself better than you know the charts, because I've understood, like, if I'm gonna have a really good week, it needs to be because my mind is in a good place. And because I'm such a like hard on the sleeve, you know, in trading they tell you be emotionless. But it's clear, I'm sure anyone listening at this point can tell, like, this dude is passionate. Like, he wears his heart on the sleeve. And I was the same way as a player. If I threw a touchdown, you would know. And if I threw an interception, you would know. So in order to, I remember my coach telling me, you know, Jason, keep your head up. Like, don't get too high, don't get too low. Keep that even keel. Like, we're going to always focus on the next play and not allow anything to affect us. And it's the same with trading, you know? So my style is a blend of, I don't trade every single week. There's some weeks I take off because I don't feel like my mentality is where it needs to be, or maybe I just want to travel and have a good time. And that's why I'm really big on softwares as well, because I have an indicator that I've been using. If I didn't create it, I tell people all the time, I don't want to say I'm not smart enough, but it's not like tech and creating things of that nature is not really my passion, not really my strong suit. But I always told myself, don't ever have an ego. What does ego stand for? Edging God out. I never wanted to allow success to be what hindered me from having more success. Because oftentimes you see somebody make 6 figures in a day, and now they don't want to listen to anybody. It's like, oh, I know what I'm doing. You know, what I'm doing got me here. But I say to myself, like, even an indicator, because I love this arrow indicator. It marks out support and resistance for you on every time frame. And what I compare that to is like being a fighter jet pilot. where if you already know how to go up into the sky and fly and shoot other planes down, great. But if somebody comes to you and says, hey, I got this lock-on missile that you can add to your plane, would you be open to trying it out? You damn right. But I see a lot of people that are like, hell no, I'm good. I can fly this plane by myself, and that's fine. Once again, to each their own. But for me, I'm always looking to improve my percentages, my setups, all of that. So, a lot of the bigger accounts that I have, I just have running on like a software where it's very conservative. I don't want to see a lot of drawdown, but I want to see like an accelerated savings account. And then for my manual accounts, I like putting a smaller amount of capital in there, 10K, 15K, 20K, and then just be super aggressive, because it's like, I can blow that and then not cry about it. Whereas I don't want to get aggressive with a 100K, 200K account, because that shit, you know what I'm saying? It'll have an effect.
So for those that don't really understand the rationale of having two accounts, can you just explain the very basics of why you have two accounts, the main account and then these flip accounts?
Yep, portfolio diversification. And once again, for those listening that don't have much capital now, don't feel like you got to diversify accounts now. I didn't have multiple trading accounts when I only could load up $1,000. So it's like it's a journey, it's a progress to this. But down the road, you got to say to yourself, like, do I always want to trade? As much as I love trading, I would say this: I'm more in love with the results of trading than trading itself. Like, I love what trading provides. I love that I can go to Cabo, Mexico, make $3,000-$4,000 on a Wednesday, not trade for the rest of the week, go have margaritas and take a boat ride, see whales jumping all over the damn place, and not be stressing about, I got to go back home and get back to work. Like, I love the fact that I'm my own boss, but I also understand the accountability that requires, because everyone wants to say, I can wake up when I want, do what I want, go where I want. But that also means that you got to be on your shit and be working. Like, you got to work, because now if you're your own head coach, it's just you. Like, there's nobody telling you when to work or how hard to work. So you've got to really have that dog mentality, that love for the grind, because if you don't push yourself, there's no one else really to do so. That's why having mentors is good too, because if you're not learning from somebody who has 10 extra results that you do, then you're constantly the only person that you're learning from.
All right, that's really, really well put. You just kind of mentioned the accountability that it takes when you're actually at that financial freedom, and how you kind of have to start to have that discipline for yourself and be self-accountable. Can you walk me through what that is? That's an incredibly liberating feeling, because like you said, your overhead's basically taken care of, your needs are taken care of. So walk us through that accountability and what it actually takes to get yourself motivated every day when you don't need to go out there and work for money.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, even in regards to motivation, like as much as this people might not want to hear this, I'm not motivated every day. Like, there's days where I'm really not. There's days where it's just like, I don't want to do shit. And that's just having to deal with the struggles of like keeping your psyche in that right place. Like, that's a prime example. On a day where I'm maybe not really feeling the best, I don't want to look at the charts, because I know it could probably just lead to disaster. So even in regards to like how I plan out my day, I printed these out, and it's like a today's plan, and I tell people all the time, most people don't plan to fail, they fail to plan, so I like to at least try to schedule success, because success usually doesn't schedule itself. So that doesn't mean that everything always gets accomplished, but at least if you write it down and you're categorizing in your mind what needs to get done today. Because then what happens? Distractions. What does distraction stand for? Distancing yourself from taking action. Like, it's easy to get distracted. I have a severe ADD. Severe, bro. That's why it's like, if anyone needs to be organized, it's like I have to be. That's the only way I know I'm going to progress, because my mind is bouncing all over the place. It's a blessing and a curse. It helps with the creativity and things of that nature. But in regards to like being on it and structured and every day, that's where it's like, I really got to stay accountable. And football provided that. But once again, they planned all that out for me. All I had to do was show up. They said, Jason, be here for weights. Jason, be here for breakfast. Be here for practice. Be here to get on the bus, to fly to the next game. All I had to do was show up. With this, you got to schedule it and show up, and you're the only one in charge of it. So it's a little bit more difficult.
All right, that's really well put, and I think that that's really brilliant. That trading sheet or the plan sheet that you have for the day, kind of keeping yourself in check. Walk me through you as a trader today and kind of how you view your routine. Because you said that on some weeks when you just don't feel like you're in the right mentality, you don't trade, which I think a lot of traders take years to kind of get to that level of maturity, which is it's okay to walk away. So, can you walk us through how you look at the markets today and when you decide you're ready to trade and when you decide to stay away?
Yeah, I think that like a lot of people have this mindset of like, oh, if I don't trade this week, I'm gonna miss a move. But it's like, what about all the moves that you missed before you ever even knew Forex was real? The moves that I catch are the moves that are meant for me. Like I'm not here chasing every single move, or then you're gonna be glued to your computer trying to look at every single setup that ever existed. And that's why I tell people like, find a couple pairs that you actually vibe with, and then just kind of stick to those. Like even if you just trade them demo, because I like back testing is great, but unless people are back testing like the right way, then you can already see what happened in the future. So you're almost like trading with like a mentality of I already know what's gonna happen. Whereas what I call live testing, even on a demo account, trade every single week. Like, you know what I mean? Every New York session from 8 to 12, take a trade on that pair and just use the same lot for the whole week. So if a 1.0 is what you're comfortable with, then that way at the end of the week, you can say, okay, on GBP USD, I took 5 trades this week, all during New York session, all 1.0s. Did I make more pips than I lost, or did I lose more pips than I won? And that will give somebody the confidence to then want to go do it live after they've had a couple good weeks where they're seeing consistent results. And me as a trader, it's like I said, you know, manually, I like to be more aggressive. I'm confident in my skill set. I'm willing to endure the risk that that might, you know, require. So like, once again, that doesn't mean every single, I just posted today an 11K loss that I took on one day last week because I want to show people like this shit is not just, oh, sunshine and rainbows. Like, you know, you want to make 100K in a day, but you don't want to lose $1,000 in a day. So it's just the concept of I like being transparent. In football, I couldn't hide my interceptions. If you watched the game, you saw them. So in trading, people can hide that shit. And that's why it frustrates me because you see the niche only show the good stuff. And then people come in and they're like, oh, damn, I didn't know this part existed. And so even in my intro to, you know, the intro to trading, I compare trading to Jurassic Park. Like this shit is not sweet. You know, why do I love softwares and putting people onto that first? I compare it to them going to the zoo. You know, you want to see the animals and how cute and cuddly they are from a safe distance, use the software. You want to really get in the mix and walk into Jurassic Park, trade manually. You know, but just know when you get your damn head ripped off by a T-Rex, you know, your whole account blows or you get margin called, you know, don't like it shit hurts. I get it, but don't be surprised that it happened because that's trading. You know, you got to really have discipline and the right mentality.
So if we're gonna think about trading as the jungle, what mindset do you need to have before you're ready to walk into that jungle? And what tools do you use to get yourself in that proper mindset to be able to walk in there confidently?
I would say the mindset is just like having that plan. You know, it's like, you know, like think about Robin Williams in Jumanji. Like when he finally got back out the game, like he was seasoned. That man, you know what I mean? He was covered in leaves. He knew how to like wrestle with a lion. Like he was seasoned. When he first went into that jungle, he had no idea what he was doing in there. And so I view myself as the same as Robin Williams, where it's like when I came into trading as a little boy and I got thrown into the mix, you know, like I said, 4K drawdown for 2 months. Like I'm like, damn, this shit is real. But in hindsight, I'm grateful for it because now when I'm sitting on 4K drawdown, I'll like be laughing and singing. Like, you know what I mean? It's just the concept of your mentality truly has to grow alongside your trading account. You know, you can't expect your trading account to grow without your mindset to grow. And that's why I want people to focus on like listening to personal development, actually getting repetition. Because you can be the most personally developed person in the world, but if you're not actually getting reps on the charts, then you know what I'm saying? What are we really doing? Like, it's like I compared trading to surfing, where like the first day you get out there, first couple of weeks you get out there, you're falling off your board over and over and over again. And then after a month, maybe now you can ride a 3-foot wave, 4-foot wave. Then after a couple more months, now you're riding a 10-foot wave. And people see you 2 years, 3 years later, just just ripping 40-foot waves. And they're like, holy shit, bro, like you were born for this. And it's like, no, I wasn't. No, I wasn't. I just showed up every single day, put the work in, and now you see the product of me riding a 40-foot wave. But don't lose sight of all the waves that I crashed on at 20 feet, at 10 feet. Because bro, even as you start riding the bigger waves, just because you know what I'm saying, have some success doesn't keep you from falling even at those waves. It's just like I said, most people aren't gonna post that shit.
100%. Now, look, I heard you use a very interesting example where you were kind of comparing the stresses of trading and taking on a high risk position with being a quarterback and having people run at you. And you kind of have a unique perspective on this because you have to make quick and quality decisions when you're a quarterback. And so how do you relate that to trading, and how has that helped you? And what can you sort of explain to the folks at home that they can take away from the similarities between those two?
Bro, you know what's so funny is like I knew the only way I would actually continually be excited to show up every week and trade was if I turned it into a game. So at literally everything about trading, I compare to football. Our entry is our line of scrimmage. When we buy or sell and we go straight into drawdown, what's that from? Spread, right? What is spread formation in football? 2x2, I'm in the gun. So as soon as I snap the ball is priced. As soon as I hike the ball goes 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage. I'm already in drawdown, right? I'm used to this. So when I get a 30 pip trade that I take profit on, that was a 30-yard completion. That was a first down. If I got a 80 pip to 100 pip move that I closed out, that was a damn touchdown, right? If I close out a 5 pip loss, that was a sack. A 10 pip loss, that was a sack. If I close out a 30, 40 pip loss, that was an interception. The pips are yards. The ball is price.
That's got to be by far my favorite explanation of Forex that I've ever heard. All right. So I hope that some of the football fans at home took something away from that. That was going to be very helpful for the people at home. Let's shift gears. Jason, talk to me about some of the projects that you're involved with. I know that you talked about some AI. There was, I think it's called Avoria. I'm going to let you talk about that. You got the Trade Bender course. You got a podcast, which I'm really interested in. I kind of want to talk to you about that. Walk me through the various projects that you're currently involved in.
Yeah, Avoya Prime is the tools that I use. Once again, I tell people all the time, I'll never promote something that I don't use myself. I'm really big on being a product of the product. Like you'll never see me push like Starbucks. I would promote Starbucks because I love it. Like I drink it. It's good coffee. It's obviously open to interpretation, but with AP, I love that they have expert advisors. So softwares that people can use. It's like basically automated trading for people. And then they also have good indicators. There's really two that I use so Gearbox and Arrow are my favorite. But once again, like I view trading as it could be a household name if it becomes Netflix. In my opinion, manual trading is Blockbuster, where people are so hung up on, oh, everyone should come learn how to trade. No, everybody can be a trader. That doesn't mean everyone can be a manual trader, right? So at one point, Netflix went to Blockbuster and said people would rather have the access to watch movies at home. Blockbuster said, no, they won't. No, they don't. They want to actually come and get the movie. Wrong. People want to trade. They just don't want to manually trade, right? So Expert Advisor is the game changer for that, where it's like, prime example. I got my mom's account I created an account for my mom, got it running on an Expert Advisor, not Mere Trader, right? Let's make sure we have the difference between a human and a software, because human, what's the things that run into problems? Psychology, greed, all that stuff, mindset. So I just love the fact that I can have her money growing for her instead of that money in a bank account where it's not doing anything. And at the end of the day, that's why I'm so passionate about technology. Because when we play 2K or we play Madden, we put on the highest difficulty setting. Like, you know what I'm saying? You can only run pick and roll so many times until the AI starts to pick up on it. And it's like, no, we got something for that. We're going to rotate. So in regards to AP, I love those two products. In regards to the Trade Bender course, it's very similar to the things that we've talked about, where it's related to football, it's related to video games. I tried to create a course that's built for people with ADD. I wanted to create something that really simplified trading and help them understand the concepts to the T. Even with the lot size chart that I created, where it's like choose your character, because I really do view trading as like health points. If you have $1,000 account, that's really 1,000 health points. You got to be smart about how much health you're willing to risk on every trade. And then in regards to the clothing company, we talked about that. Glory to God is for Christian athletes. Every shirt sold is going to be profit to Transformation Church. If you haven't checked out Transformation Nation or Michael Todd, check them out on YouTube. Absolutely representing God in a fantastic way. And just so many different things we have going on. Even the podcast Roll One Show, we've only done 2 episodes so far. We actually just signed a media company. They're going to be helping us shoot the rest of the episodes. But what we're trying to do is take away the stigma or the false assumption that if you smoke marijuana, you can't be a productive, person in society. You can't, still take care of business. And I want to really try to, and not only that, but you can't still be a man of God, right? So I just want to really, my brother Dante Lewis and I, we really want to be able to represent the way people look at, those who smoke marijuana that are still trying to make an impact for the kingdom, that are still trying to create inspiration and impact all over the world. So we got a lot of exciting things going on, no doubt.
Very interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff. And you touched on a little bit of this in what you just talked about, but I want you to dive a little bit deeper. This is a question that I customarily ask to all of the podcast guests, which is if you had to give some tips to a new trader starting out, what would you make sure that they focused on, and what would be the most important tips that you could leave them with after this podcast?
Yeah, you're right. That question does get asked a lot, and it's oftentimes like people are looking for this breadcrumb trail to like, the promised land, like Hansel and Gretel. But I tell people I'm more so humble and grateful, where every single trade I've ever had is like $7 I was happy with, and like every single day having the foundation of gratitude. Like we all want to make money, and the reason why I was so emotional in the 6-figure day was because that was like the shackles being taken off me of this scarcity mindset that I had my whole life. Growing up, not having money myself personally, like my mom and dad both did pretty well for themselves. I would say we're like middle class, upper middle class. And even the area that I grew up in, Alexandria, Virginia, is not poverty, but it's also not like, the Beverly Hills. So that I think what was so cool about that was we all grew up with, we were grateful for what we had, but we were still really, really hungry to want to go get more. And, we never starved, but we never had like this buffet abundance coming in. So it's really just cool to have that foundation. And I just want people to understand, like, you got to start with the end in mind. You got to really think to yourself, if not this, then what? Like, what else out there is going to allow you to make thousands of dollars by pressing a button because of information that you have up here? And that's all it really comes down to. It's a video game. If you get cold at that, you can make a lot of money.
So what I took away from that is that there's no cookie cutter method for everybody, but it does start with the end in mind. And it starts with what I would consider is that self-confidence, I guess, and that vision to be able to push through a lot of those trials. Does that sound about right?
100%, bro. Like you said, each person is their own person. So, whether someone wants to scalp, wants to swing, intraday, you name it, it's all about that person deciding what works best for them. And that's why I don't really try to like push on people, this is how you have to trade, because in trading, there is no right or wrong. Like you could be trading for 20 years and we both be looking at a setup, and obviously you might have a higher percentage of being right, but that still doesn't guarantee that you're going to be right. And that's why I see trading filled with ego and people thinking because they've done this so long that they know for a fact bro, you don't know. Because if you knew, you would literally leverage your whole account if you knew. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you could see what was going to happen tomorrow on gold today, and you truly knew that was going to happen, you would drop, 1,000 lots because you knew it was going to happen. And that's what frustrates me is when people try to act like they knew what was going to happen. All we're doing at the end of the day is speculating. We're just looking for the highest probability setup that's going to allow us to make a good trade.
Guys, take notes. Beginner traders on this, listening to this podcast, make sure you guys take notes. Now, to the folks that are listening to this at home that are existing traders, they already got a routine and a rhythm going. They might be in a slump, not in a slump, on a boom and bust cycle. They might be in whatever kind of path, but they're already existing traders. What sort of advice would you have for those folks about either pushing through or breaking out of a certain level? And
I would just continue to stay consistent. Like, And then challenge yourself. Like, it's the same thing. Like, bro, I have to, like, prime example, I'm about to go get a gym membership at LA Fitness, and I'm gonna find a trainer in there that can push me. Because if I go in there by myself, I'm gonna be dicking around, you know what I'm saying? I'm not really going to maximize my workload. Whereas if I have somebody in there, once again, who can tell me, do this, do this, do this, and then all I got to do is just give my best effort versus like think to myself, what's the next routine? So for me, and once again, everybody's, their own person, but I think it's important to have people that inspire you to level up or push you to level up versus just trying to do everything on your own. Everybody wants to be self-made, but in my opinion, that you did it the wrong way. You know what I'm saying? If you're self-made, like, I want my whole team, I want everybody who's working towards it to get there too. Because I don't want to find myself 10, 20 years later, sitting at the top and like looking for where's all the people that I, grinded with. Like, I want that to be a full table where everybody's eating and no one has to worry about who's got the check, because we all, we all leveled up. So I would just continue to tell people, like, anybody who needs like that much motivation or advice on what to do to keep pushing forward, like, you probably might have to reevaluate if trading is really for you. At least manual trading. Once again, there's a difference, because trading really should be for everybody. At the end of the day, if your money's not going to work for you, it's on vacation, it's sitting in your bank account, not doing a damn thing. You got to find a place to put your money to work, whether that's trading, real estate, online marketing, you name it. Find a place to put that shit to work. Otherwise, it's always going to be sitting there on vacation.
This has been a very interesting conversation, Jason. I'm going to end this on a very light note. I kind of want to, give the guys a treat at home. Walk us through what it feels like to make six figures in a day, and how did you feel in your first 100K day? How did that really impact you?
The importance of the video that I made was to show people what 3 years of work looked like and 3 years of vision looked like. Like I said, I had affirmations on the back of my phone that said, I'm a six-figure trader, when I had $3 in my bank account. So for me to be talking about six figures when I had nothing and still have to believe it, it felt really, really weird. But it was just the concept of, like, it costs you nothing to say something out loud. So me programming that and literally saying that to myself every day, and then also still working towards it, it was just the shackles, bro. Like I said, I felt like, like a scene in a movie where, like, you got all these chains on you, and then it's finally just like you rip them off and you like go Super Saiyan. And when, I called my mom and my dad, that's why I couldn't keep that in anymore. It was just like I was balling because I had put in so many nights, bro. London sessions, New York sessions, blown accounts, like, and so to finally feel that, going to Q's course and him in person and giving me an A+, it was like all these things that I felt like, because every time I would make a little bit of money in trading, I would reinvest it back into myself. I knew all I got to do is keep leveling up here, and I will see the results on my MT4 history. And six figures in a day, once I cracked, 100,000, I was happy with it. Like, if I had maintained the order like I maintained every other order, it would have been like a 200K move. But I tell people all the time, when you're happy with a certain amount of profit, it's not yours until it's yours. So close that shit, withdraw that shit, roll around in that shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, get that dopamine hit of, damn, trading is real. Because I see people, they try to grow a 1K account to $100,000. If you grow a 1K account to 5K, withdraw that shit and then grow that 1K again. So that way, if you do blow the 1K, you still got more ammo to actually maneuver with. But I had made that same mistake. I was, when I didn't have money, I would grow like a 2K account to 7K and then try to flip the 7 to 20 and then be sitting there mad because I have no more money to trade with when I blew it, so 100,000 feels phenomenal. Honestly, I think 100K in that one day will feel better than even when I do 7 in one day, just because of what it represented.
Awesome. Awesome stuff. Last question for you, Jason. You would be considered an all-star student, right? You sort of took the information and you really ran with it and really made the most out of it and put in the grind time. So for a lot of the folks that are taking courses right now, learning Forex, what advice would you give them to make the most out of their experience while learning to get the most out of it?
I would say to like take bits and pieces of what you learn and apply it to your recipe. Like, don't try to feel like you have to completely emulate someone else's game. Like, I learned from Forex Paid on how to really swing. Like, he taught me about parallel channels and how to really like swing a trade. I learned from Q Banks how to get very, very technical and precise with your markups. You know, I learned from Dante Lewis what it was like to make 6 figures in a day back to back. Like, we're literally living in East Point, Atlanta, which is not a good place. You know, great, you know, some good people, but as far as like 4th of July every day out there, bro, 6, 7 p.m., you start to hear clack, clack all over the damn place. And I saw him literally on the couch. We were sitting next to each other, and I saw him make 6 figures in a day on a Wednesday and then do it again on a Thursday. And once again, like, there's a difference between inspiration and envy. One person will see your results and be inspired because they say to themselves, damn, if he could do it, I could do it too. Another person will see your results and be envious because they don't think it's possible for them. And so make sure that you're surrounding yourself with people that are inspired and not envious, because at the end of the day, you know, you only want people like really in your corner that's there for you. So keep going. Like, everybody listening that's trading, keep going. Don't quit. What choice do we have? And, you know, it's worth it. I promise you, it's worth it on the other side.
Mr. Jason Stewart, the trade bender, QBSTEW, the Forex quarterback in the building. I appreciate you for stopping by. Thanks for making the time to get on the podcast.
My man, thank you so much, bro.
All right, happy and safe trading to all the chart addicts at home. Make sure you guys tune in to the next podcast. This is going to be very interesting for you guys. Like, subscribe, and share this with your friends. Take it easy, guys.
Let's get it.